21. I turned 27 this weekend, which is why I have these amazing flowers behind me. My friends and family surprised me by creating and putting together the most beautiful spring brunch, and the theme was flowers. I absolutely love flowers, so they filled the whole space. If this is your first time here, welcome. My name is Isabel, and on this podcast, we talk all about wellness, mindset, and self-love for ambitious women. And if that is you, come join our community in a celebration of the birthday vibes and keeping the theme of inspiration and motivation going for all of you. This special episode is actually a presentation that I put together a couple of years ago about introduction to entrepreneurship and introduction to building wealth, especially in your early 20s, and how all these small steps can compound. I am a full-time creative entrepreneur, and sometimes I get invited to go back to my university, which is Simon Fraser University in Vancouver, and speak about what I've learned and my journey to current students. I hope this is going to be super helpful to you. So let's get started. Introduction to Entrepreneurship and Wealth 101. Today we're going to cover building a business, creating multiple income streams, the wealth mindset, and introduction to investing in the stock market, specifically in North America. I'm Canadian, but I heavily invest in the US market. So today we are going to be talking about Canadian accounts. I know there is an American version of this, but I'm not too familiar with them. The first concept is that the wealthy do not trade their time for money. Okay, so think of it like this. We all have the same 24 hours in a day, and a full-time job requires 8 hours of your day. If we traded our 8 hours for an hourly wage of $20 an hour, that limits our earning potential to $160 a day. This is your basic income. Everyone starts here, but you need to know that your time is a limited resource. Your time is something you can never get back, but money will always come and go throughout your life. You can never get your time back, but you can get your money back. And that's why to truly build wealth, we need to create a system where your money works for you. You can make money while you sleep and not necessarily be working at your computer or your desk or talking to people, but your money will grow whether or not you are in the system. And this allows you to become flexible with your time and your energy, and also not limit your earning potential to the amount of time spent. And that is where entrepreneurship and building your business comes in. Most founders build sustainable businesses on the concept of legacy. How can you create a business that solves a problem, makes an impact, is aligned to your legacy, and is something that you highly care about and can do every single day? That is the challenge that I want you to think about today. What can you do that gets you into that flow state where the time really just passes and you don't even recognize it does? The 4-step process into being an entrepreneur and building a business goes like this. 1, establish your core values. 2, create a business model canvas. And if you Google this, a business model canvas is just the perfect framework on how you can start to build a business and see the people that can help you and who you can also help. 3, researching your market and really understanding your market psychology and consumer. And 4, executing, refining, and repeating this over and over, through and through. The business model canvas is so incredible for you if you're a baby entrepreneur and are starting a business plan. It covers key partners, key activities, such as what are you going to do on the day-to-day to create and deliver your value proposition, which is what makes your business different. Key partners includes who you're going to partner with in terms of making your business happen. What are their responsibilities? What are your responsibilities? Do you have a business partner? Do you have vendors or contractors, suppliers? Your key resources. What resources do you need to create, maintain, and deliver your value proposition? The most important part of the business model canvas is the actual value proposition. So what are you delivering to your customer? What problems are you going to solve? What makes you different from the other businesses that are competing against you in the space? What are the products? What are the services? What is the brand promise? That is the value proposition and the heart of the business. Your customer relationship. So who are your customers? Do you understand them well? well? Can you describe your customers? What do they look like? What are their pain points, their psychology, their desires? Your customer segments are the customers that either pay, receive, or decide on your value proposition, and there are multiple of them. The channels. How does your value proposition reach your customer? Is it online? Is it in person? Where does your customer buy your services or your products? How do they find you? How do you reach them? The cost structure covers all your basic costs month by month, and also just random costs and sunk costs that maybe are one-time deals. And then your revenue streams covers how you're going to make your money, because you're going to have multiple streams of revenue and income. That is the basic business model canvas. You can even find it on Google Images and choose which business model canvas works for you. It would be nice to really just print it out and get your thoughts going if this is a venture that you want to take seriously and get into. In Canada, there are 3 business structures. Actually, there are more, but these are just the 3 basic and main structures that as an entrepreneur, you need to consider how these legal structures will benefit you and serve your business. And that is a sole proprietorship, a partnership, and an incorporation. The sole proprietorships are typically for solopreneurs or baby entrepreneurs that are just starting. They want to test out their product. It's not that expensive to start up, although the liabilities and the debt are connected to you and your personal assets. So if you get sued or something goes wrong, it is a risk that your personal assets are tied into the business. A partnership is running a business with a business partner, and it does have the same structure as a sole proprietorship. So you are liable to debt and you are liable to having your personal assets taken away from you if something goes wrong in the business. An incorporation is a legal entity that is separate from you, so your personal assets are not tied in with the business. You are definitely protected if something goes wrong or if there's debt. Those are the differences between the big 3, really. The amazing thing about building a business is that it really does create infinite earning potential for you through creating those multiple streams of income, because they aren't tied to your time. Which brings us to the next topic of creating multiple income streams. So let's go over some crazy stats. Canadian student debt is at an all-time high. From 1964, there was less than $1 million given out to student loans dispersed to the average student. And fast forward to present day, student loans has exponentially grown to $2 billion. To the generations of millennials and Gen Z. Coming out of university, the average student is in about $60,000 worth of debt. KPMG recently released a survey showcasing the millennial dilemma that says 72% of millennials want to own a home, but 46% of them say that it's unrealistic. 38% believe that their home won't be worth as much in the future, and 46% of millennial homeowners have had help from their parents. The research has also showed that millennials have also taken 13 years on average to save for a 20% down payment where their parents only took 5. Additionally, the debt to income ratio for millennials is 216%. It was only 125% for Gen X and 80% for baby boomers. So how do we solve this problem? I say that the solution to this is having multiple streams of income. And the average millionaire has 7 streams of income. You can create way more though. Let's go over some examples. Here are 7 income stream ideas. Having a part-time job, investments from stocks, business profits, dividend stock investments, content sponsorships if you are a content creator, affiliate links if you are also a content creator, and interests from a savings account. That's just an average example, and you could easily achieve this. Remember that financial freedom is not you working for your money, but your money working for you. Let's talk about wealth mindset. More than ever, financial literacy and discipline really is a mental game. Here are some of the lessons and tips that I've learned over the past couple of years. Money is the key to financial and time freedom only if you know how to manage it. You cannot get attached to money, a career, and material things, but you can get attached to a purpose or calling, your passion, and your happiness. I really believe this is so because the foundation of your wealth journey always comes back to your purpose and your calling. Why are you doing what you're doing? You can always come back to this to remind you when things get really challenging or hard. Being very crystal clear of your purpose will really help you be grounded and will help you work more sustainably. It's really sad because many young people settle for a job that they hate just because they're comfortable paying the bills. And a lot of that comes from a scarcity mindset. We are here to practice and show abundance, which is really where wealth comes from. It comes from joy, gratitude, abundance, and fulfillment. You can't manage what you don't measure. You need to know where every single dollar in your account goes. Every single one of those dollars is your employee. Minimize those expenses that don't bring value or add joy into your life. I know that I had this problem last year, and I talked about it in another episode where we talk about overconsumption and how it makes you feel empty. It really depletes you. Maybe it can bring temporary joy for a second or a day or a month, but the truth is overconsumption really compensates for a feeling of fulfillment that you do not have inside. And those material things will never compensate for that. It's something that you need to do the inner work on. Again, because purpose, joy, and fulfillment, that is where wealth and abundance comes from. It's not from material things or objects. And life joy and purpose typically comes from very fulfilling relationships and being a part of something that is bigger than you. To track all my spending, goals, investments, I used to use mint.com, but it's crazy because they actually recently announced that they were shutting down. So I haven't found an alternative for this. If any of you guys know any alternatives from it, please leave it in the comments. I would love to hear your thoughts. All right, automate your finances. You can set up automations every single month with your bank account. This includes savings, bill payments, investments, retirement, contributions, extra debt payments. Whenever you get that money hitting your account, make sure to set aside a percentage of that amount to allocate between your debts and your assets. Have a growth plan. This is important because you do need to track your short-term and your long-term financial goals. Your wealth is aligned with your growth, and an example of this could look like paying off all your debt by the age of 30, investing 20% to 70% of your income, reading one book a month on personal finance, exercising for half an hour a day, and investing in people that invest in you. If you guys want book recommendations, I have so many, and I can make another episode on that. If you're interested, let me know as well. Use your credit card, but treat it like a debit card. There are so many endless benefits to different types of credit cards. Credit cards have insurance on everything that you buy. It will prevent money fraud. It strengthens your credit score. And based on the credit card that you get, there are so many benefits. You could get flights for free. You can get cash back on every purchase. You can get hotels and accommodations and lounges for free. My favorite Canadian credit card is the Amex Cobalt. I use that credit card for everything, and it has amazing perks. And I do have a referral link below, and this referral link, if you're interested, can get you a big sign-up point bonus if you sign up using my link. I'll link that below. It's my favorite credit card, and I use it for everything personal finance wise. Have 3 to 6 months worth of emergency savings stored in a high interest savings account before you invest. You just never know when something will happen or an emergency happens, and being able to have that cash right there that's accessible to you in the same day is so important. In Canada, I use EQ Bank. I think they're the best Canadian high interest savings account, and I'll have a referral link below for you to also get $20 when you sign up with them. I really do like their high interest savings account. I've been with them for years, and it's been easy to navigate and work with them. If you could invest the majority of your money, especially if you live at home, especially if you barely have expenses. I wish that I could go back in time to 19-year-old me and just, instead of buying all those things, I would have become a multimillionaire by now if I just invested all my money. I wish that for you. Please invest all your money if you have no expenses. It will grow exponentially and it will keep you from spending it. That compound interest is no joke, and it is truly the 8th wonder of the world. It is crazy how much money you can make just by starting as soon as you can. If you are watching this on my YouTube channel right now, you will see the infographics and the screenshots of some of my presentations, so you can have more of a visual of what that compound interest looks like. But this infographic or slide shows what $20,000 could look like in 30 years if you keep it under the mattress versus saving versus in investing. So under the mattress in 30 years, that $20,000 is still $20,000. If you keep that $20,000 in a savings account with 2% interest rate, it becomes $36,000 and $337. And if you invest it with a 5.48% annual return, that $20,000 becomes $99,113. And that's only with a 5% annual return. You can make so much more than that. Trust me. So much more. The power of compounding. This infographic shows the power of compounding versus without compounding. So with compounding, investing $10,000 over 30 years with a 5.5% annual return turns into $49,839, which is almost 5x. Without compounding, that $10,000 turns into $26,440 in a high interest savings account. If you need help budgeting or organizing your money, there is this rule called the 50-30-20 rule, which describes as spend no more than 50% of your income on your needs, 30% on wants, and save at least that 20%. But if you want to go crazy like I do, I aim for investing 70% of my income and using the other 30% of my income on needs and wants. If I could invest 80% or 90% of my income, I would. All right, intro to investing in the stock market as a Canadian girl. We are going to talk about a TFSA and an RRSP and an HFSA today. These are 3 government tax-free savings accounts that please utilize and take advantage of. Let's talk about the differences between a TFSA, which is a tax-free savings account, an RRSP, which is a registered retirement savings plan, and a FHSA, which is your first-time homeowner's savings account. So the TFSA has sheltered capital gains with the exception of American dividend stocks. It has a limited contribution that resets every January 1st of the new year, and this starts when you turn the age of 19 in Canada. The unused contribution room carries over into the following year. You can withdraw your money anytime with no fees and no taxes, which is super nice. But you do get a penalty of 1% if you do over contribute. In 2024, the TFSA contribution room is $7,000 this year. Your RRSP has tax sheltered capital gains, is tax refundable based on your contribution by deducting taxable income. Your annual contribution is also based on your last year's income. It will also increase 18% of your previous year's earned income, and it will also carry over onto the next year if you haven't used it. If you withdraw money from this account, you do get taxed, and you also get a 1% penalty if you do over contribute. So for 2023, the annual RRSP limit is $30,780. So for your FHSA, it's kind of a mix of both the RRSP and the TFSA, which is really cool. You have a contribution limit of $8,000 for 2024. If you haven't used it last year, then that amount from last year was rolled over. Your contributions can also be deducted for income tax. This account is specifically for saving for your first home, and the growth of this account and the withdrawals towards your first home are tax-free, which is great. In terms of brokerages and where you can open these accounts, if you are a beginner, it's so easy and user-friendly to use Wealthsimple Trade. It's an app, you can download it on your phone, and the interface is just so easy. If you are an advanced investor or an intermediate investor, then I really advocate for interactive brokers because their fees are so good. The only thing with interactive brokers is that you can't open your first-time homeowner's account, so I use Questrade for that. All right, so what are your investing options? So say that you opened up these 3 accounts. What can you invest in and what are they? So there are 6 basic investments that you can invest in, although there are way more than 6, but those are more for intermediate and expert investors. Those 6 are: number 1, stocks. This is your small ownership in the form of shares in the company that you invest in. There are bonds. A bond is a debt representing a loan made by an investor to a borrower. So a typical bond will involve either a corporation or a government agency. They will issue a fixed interest rate to the lender in exchange for using their capital. An ETF is an exchange traded fund. It's basically like a basket of multiple stocks in one. So you get a diverse range of investment. Instead of taking a more riskier route and investing in one company, you can take a more diverse route and just invest in ETFs. An ETF can be structured to track anything from an individual commodity to a large and diverse piece of securities. They can also be restructured to track very specific investment strategies. There are REITs, which are real estate investment trusts. They kind of act like a mutual fund where a group of investors pool together their money, but specifically in order to purchase properties. They do trade like stocks on some exchange markets. GICs, which is number 5, are guaranteed investment certificates. It's more of a safe and secure investment with little risk. It's kind of like a savings account where you invest a little bit of your money and you see it grow and earn interest on that money, although you do need to leave your money in that GIC account for a very specific amount of time. And depending on the GIC that you own, you do pay a penalty if you take out that money earlier than that guaranteed specific amount of time. And last but not least are mutual funds. And a mutual fund is where more than one investor or a pool of investors put together their money in order to purchase securities. Mutual funds are typically managed by portfolio managers who allocate and distribute the pooled investments into stocks, bonds, and other securities. So those are your 6 basic options, but the easiest way to really invest is through ETFs. They're less risky, they're more diverse, they're also easier to track and manage. The average rate of return of the S&P 500 index fund is 12% annual growth, which is much larger than that 5% that we were talking about earlier in terms of compounding money. The 3 biggest, most talked about indexes are the S&P 500. This tracks the 500 largest US companies across a span of industries and sectors. There's the NASDAQ. This tracks roughly 3,000 companies that are traded on the NASDAQ Exchange, and it has a 48% focus on technology companies. And the Dow Jones, and this tracks the 30 largest US companies. So how do you know what to invest? What is the type of research that you need to do in order to start? There's 2 types of basic research that you need to do. So the first one is called fundamental analysis. Fundamental analysis is really just looking at the data that is expected to impact the price of the stock. For example, this includes cash flows, balance sheets, income statements. These companies have quarterly earnings that have all these reports written on the investors' relations on their websites. So look at your favorite companies and you can see all of that data there. The second type of research is called technical analysis. And this analysis is used to predict future price movements and gives traders and investors the real information that is needed to make a profit. For example, you can use the charts to identify when to enter a trade or an investment and when to exit a trade or investment. That whole concept of buy low and sell high. You can also look at analytics like past market performance and statistics. Okay, that was a lot of information. If you're still around, thank you so much for watching. I really hope this helped. I'm really excited to be a part of your wealth journey. And of course, please stay connected with me, stay connected with our community on Instagram at UpAboutPodcast or my personal at Isabel, YZOBEL. In conclusion of this presentation recommendation or episode. The sooner that you start investing, the better and the wealthier you will be, whether or not you start your business or invest as soon as you can. Time is on your side, and that is the most exciting part of this. And man, I really wish I knew this when I was 19. If this can help you or any of your friends, please share this episode with them. I would be so grateful if you comment and like and subscribe and just engage with me. I do have some book recommendations on just building wealth and the economy and the psychology of money. There's so much that we can go over, but this episode is getting pretty long, so I will save that for a future episode. I wish you so much luck, and if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below and I will get back to you right away. Thank you. See you next week. Bye.